Hey you, Seymour here with your weekly update. Last week I promised to show you a couple more of these models that have just come in, uh, pretty much final 3D engineering models. Thank you so much for the response to last week's. It lifts our heart when you write in with such amazing, encouraging, nice emails. So I'm going to do two for you this week. So Life, the charger that you want every day, Road, the one for your car with the flashlight. And I will just say this, as always, before I show you 3D models. Remember, these are engineering diagrams. They're not beautiful. Where is it here? Yeah, they're not the beautiful glossy kind of finish that of the finished products that we're going to be making. Even if this is a model that's nothing like as good as the finished article, but you're going to be seeing engineering diagrams, so ignore the colors, ignore the fact that it doesn't have light reflecting off it and this, that, and the other. But what this is essential because these are the diagrams from which the tools can be made. So with that caveat, let's go take a look at the first. And here it is. MAGFAST Life, the charger you want every day. Looking very odd. Why is it looking odd? Because it's in the engineering mode. Look, it looks like it's a wedge shape, doesn't it? Well, it's not. It's just because this is the way the engineers work. Because their engineers are funny. Look at it, very odd. So let's turn it back into the normal human perspective that you and I find comfortable to look at. We do, of course, not have. I did an update recently about the dress, what we call the dress, which is our logo will be up here. There'll be the switch on here, the numbers for the LEDs on the back here. There will be, didn't swivel around then, did it? But on the back here, there'll be, various safety information, your fingerprint mark, serial number, and everything will be on the back. So let's open it up and take a little look into. Well, the first thing to show you, which is really important here, is that the magnets are now in place. This was actually when we redeveloped the magnet concept a while back. We did a proof of concept using Life as the first one, but this has now gone to the factory engineers who've gone through the whole thing for manufacturability. There's no point in designing something if it can't be made, and making things is much, much, much more complicated than you would think. Certainly complex electronics like this. So here it is. You will not be seeing an N on your magnet. This will all be beautiful white, lovely white epoxy on here that will match the shiny white plastic. And I'm going to do an update for you soon, talking about the cables, because they've been a huge operation in their own right. But here it is, and let's have a little look inside. Okay, let's take the cover off and hide the cover. What do we get? Well, there's your main event, right? You're going to lay it on your desk like this and do wireless charging. When you want to plug in, it's always going to be quicker to plug in a power delivery cable. So we have a built-in power delivery cable on the top here, right, for the fastest possible charge, but the most convenient charge is, of course, going to be your wireless. We support the faster, the new 10-watt standard that Android is using, the 7.5 watt for Apple. When we first promised you this product, it would be 5 watts. So that's one of the kind of dual upgrades, one of many upgrades that we've done since then, including up-speccing the power delivery as well. All right, so there's your cable on top. And then this little guy here is the sensor switch, because you're just going to, there's not going to be a physical click switch. You're just going to touch on the front of the product, and it's going to sense the presence of your finger for the on-off action. Remember, here's the light pipe I mentioned that brings the. I've kind of messed it up by clicking on it, haven't I? But this blue thing here is the light pipe, which brings the light from the LEDs on the circuit board. Look right up to the surface. See, right up to the surface of the product. You can just see them. You can just see them there. All right, and well, should we take this off and see what's underneath? Hide it. Underneath that is just a circuit board. Let's hide the circuit board. Boom, and now you're down to a little bit of a spacer there, and then there's the main event, the battery, and what else to show you in here? I'm trying to think what's sort of quick and fascinating show. It's all fascinating if you break it down. Let's just take this off, hide, and show you what's underneath. Okay, there's your highlight this piece. Hide that as well. So underneath here, you've got this is obviously where cable plugs in. There, I was trying to get this guy out of the way. Anyway, it doesn't seem to want to do. Maybe I can do it from the other side. Let's take the back off. And okay, it's not my day, is it? Okay, I'm going to take the whole of the chassis away, the monocoque chassis. Let's get rid of that. And now, all right, you can see, look at it, even when you peel away all these pieces, look at the complexity of what's left underneath. Here's the pogo pins, all right, which have the little tiny little, these things are tiny, like they're barely any bigger than a needle, but they have the little spring inside, so this bit touches the pogo pin on the other end there, right, when you join the products together, and it's spring loaded, so it makes a good connection. There's one of your many. There are 8 magnets, 8 rare earth magnets in this product. And then this amazing sort of constructing piece that holds it all together. Oh, I know something else I want to point out to you here. Do you see this little guy here? So this is the magnet that pulls the cable into position, right? I'll show you when we break up one of the cables next week. You'll see that there's a little ferrous metal ball in there, and this magnet attracts it in, so that gives it that nice action when it snaps back into position. All right, there's your USB-A outlet. That's the regular type that you've been using for years. Here's your USB-C. Oops. Here's the USB-C in here. The built-in cable is a USB-C cable, but you can unplug it and plug in a cable of your choice. And that, my friends, is that's your MAGFAST life. We really have pulled it apart, haven't we? Okay. Very, very, very pleased with and proud of this. And then the other one I want to show you this week is this guy, which you'll remember is your MAGFAST Road. Again, looks really odd until we correct the perspective. Let's see what there is to tell you about Road. Well, basically, it's kind of like Life, only not quite as high. Doesn't have the wireless charging in the side, as we explained, because we figured out the couple of things. In order to be Qi certified, it would have to be much bigger, as I told you before. And also, when it's plugged in your car, you would never use it. So what we did rather was to decide to up-spec the plugged-in cables. And this is actually I'm going to get Sean, our chief engineer, to come in and talk with us about it 1 week soon. But each of these products has their own unique challenges. And the challenge for Road here is, if you count it up, you've got the USB-C outlet underneath here and the USB-A underneath here. Look, and then you've got another 2 C's and another 2 A's. So potentially people could be drawing a lot of power from this tiny little thing. So managing the power in this unit is actually a very significant challenge. And of course, it has to be managed 2 ways, because when it's running off of the battery, that's a limited supply of power, right? So we have to be careful with the draw from the battery and the fact that the battery, it can only carry so much, right? Meanwhile, when you're plugged in your car, all right, you can actually get huge amounts of power out of the 12 volts. So it's going to have dual modes. If you're running on pure battery, it won't really matter if you just plug one item in, but if you try to load up all 6 outlets, you're going to get much more power when you're plugged in your car, which of course is how the thing is designed to be used. So you'll be able to be plugged in the car, and then be on a road trip with 6 of you all plugged in simultaneously, getting pretty serious amounts of power out. What else to show? Oh, I tell you what, let's have a look at the little LEDs in the end here. If I highlight the end here, this is it's not transparent in this in the model as it stands, but if I make it transparent, under here you can see, it's not very pretty, but you can see the 3 LEDs there, and they kick quite a lot of light. It's going to be a nice general light, rather than a kind of specific pointy light. It's going to be pretty great, actually. And the other thing, of course, is that because you have magnets on here and on here, if, for instance, you were out at night and needed to lift the hood of your car, you'll be able to just snap this magnetically straight onto the hood of your car and have a nice sort of general flashlight when you go along. So we're pleased with that. I know some folks watching want me to pull this pull this open. Should we pull it open? You know what I am going to do actually is I'm going to pull this out, because this is a remarkable. If I break this out into a new part document, this is a single piece, very complex to make. Hang on, let's just give it normal perspective. There we go. This is a complicated piece to manufacture, and normally, you think of the products you have around the house, you kind of expect that this would be a separate. This would all be separate down here, but it's being made in a single part, so that there's lots and lots of extra strength. Because you can imagine if this thing's plugged into your 12-volt outlet and someone sits down awkwardly and nudges it with their backside, we want the thing to be nice and strong and give you a little bruise on the backside rather than smashing to pieces. So let's have a look. Anything else in here? Take the cover off right quick. Take the cover off. There we go. There's the light pipe I mentioned to you before. I'm just going to talk to you just quickly about this arrangement on the end here. This again was one of the things that, how do I explain it? Like, if I didn't tell you about it, you'd probably never notice, but if we hadn't done it, you'd notice. When the engineers originally drew this end up, they had the A's on the outside and the C's on the inside. First of all, it didn't look as nice as this. There's a kind of, your eye draws a natural curve like this, which is, from a design point of view, I mean, we're not building a cathedral here, but we want the thing to be as beautiful as it can be. So there's a kind of an invisible line that your eye draws here that makes this set pretty nice. But the engineers wanted it the other way around, and it was a fight to get it with the C's on the outside and the A's on the inside. And the reason that we did this was because if you imagine cables plugged in here, right, they all have the plastic around them and they occupy space. If you had these guys in between, imagine if you had an A and an A on the outside in use and a C on the inside in use. It'd be very difficult to, if you wanted to plug another C, it'd be very difficult to get to the C's. Whereas this way, it's very easy to get your fingers onto any of the 4 cables. We think these small things make a difference. The other thing I'm just going to point out, which is, again, is very unusual. I don't think many companies, many folks would even think of it or bother with it. But do you see how we've got these A's in opposite directions to each other? All right, and you say, why would you do that? You should have them the same. Well, the answer is because your brain will learn that the bar is on the inside quite easily. And if we put them the same way around, your brain would then be confused. How can I quickly rotate this? If it was plugged in this way around, and you imagine it was bar at the bottom, then next time when someone else had been playing with it and you plugged it in, you'd have bar at the top, and that would then be confusing to plug in. But by putting them on the inside, it means your brain gets used to the fact that this bar is always on the inside, regardless of which way around the unit is. Okay, I know many folks watching this now think we must be completely crazy for that last detail, but that's an example of the kind of stuff, that's what we're doing. We don't think many other people bother in that kind of way, but it's the kind of detail that we're taking the time and the trouble to do for you, so that when you get these things in your hands, you're going to be really, really thrilled. That's your weekly update for this week. I'm Seymour. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.